They've graduated to a place where the week, it's too long, man. I want to get to the game. I get so excited about watching this team play football. They have found something in that running game, in their offensive approach. You kind of feel good every time they line up. And let's see if they can keep that momentum and that success and that efficiency and the production that we watch every Saturday right now on offense going this weekend against Syracuse. We all know the big question with Syracuse is whether or not they're healthy at quarterback. And that's Schrader's not, Johnny Unitas. Hey, you like that reference? But he's the best they have, and they're a better team when he plays. And they're 6-3 overall, 3-2 in conference, and they would be perhaps 7-2 if they had a quarterback, if they hadn't had the injury. So we'll see.
It's an interesting season for them offensively, beyond the injury, because Robert and I coming in as a first-year coordinator has done a great job with Garrett Schrader and making him more decisive. He's capable of a lot of different throws.
That's correct.
More throws than he certainly was capable of last year. He was just really hard to tackle and bring to the ground last season. That's still the case. But with Sean Tucker, that was the featured player. Thought maybe, at least I did, upper teens, around 2,000 scrimmage yards this season for Sean Tucker, given what he was last season. And really, they haven't developed him as much. That's what makes it so strange. They go to him a lot more in the passing game, but they don't feature him in this offense the way that he was featured last year.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the term development. He's fully developed as a player. You're right. They don't feature him. That's the way to say it. They don't feature him the way that they did. And I wonder if that's because early in the season, they had moments where they had the improved passing game and fell in love with it a little too much instead of falling back on the workhorse, because that kid is a real talent. And we were asked a question yesterday on Headlines, how would he fit in our backfield? Yeah, well, he'd fit nicely. He's really good. He's that caliber of player. He's way up there.
The good thing is, yes, if you're any running back in this country from high school or college, you look at Florida State as one of those places that you want to go now, period. That's cool. Whether you are kind of good but underdeveloped, or you're legitimate, or you're elite. This is a place where you can go and eat big time.
There's a lot of opportunity because we want to run the ball, and we're hell-bent on that being sort of the root of the offense. You're going to get opportunities, even if you're not, let's say, the dude. You're going to get opportunities. So, yeah, I agree with you. And, I hope that as this year has gone along, that is becoming true. We'll see as we turn our attention with each passing game more towards recruiting. I hope that's true of a few more receivers as well. Obviously you got a superstar in that class. Well, at least a potential superstar in that class. You'd like to see a couple more kids excited about coming to play wide receiver at Florida State. That has to continue to develop. And it probably will if you keep playing well.
The question is, what kind of reliance will there be on the portal year to year for this coaching staff, philosophically speaking?
Mm-hmm.
Now that we're better and the offense has more film out there, I was fond of saying it earlier this season that you don't have to turn on Memphis film anymore to tell a kid, this is what you could be in my scheme. You could turn on Florida State film for receivers and running backs alike and say, this is what you can be, and even better than this in my offense. Well, now that they're having that success, what's the ratio? If you've got 25 spots every year, what's the ratio? Do you still want it to be 18-7 high school to a transfer portal? Do you want it to be 15-10? What's the best fit? Because we're doing really well in the transfer portal, but can you count on that?
Changes every year. I think if you're building a long-lasting culture, you want to recruit high school kids. You want to build through the high school ranks in that way. But if you have a pressing need, if you have a huge amount of production exiting your program at season's end, the luxury you have now as a coach, especially if you've had success in doing this, is you don't have to wait on a kid to come in, develop, take 2 and 3 years before he's a dominant player or he matches the production level of what's leaving. You don't have that time. Coaches are under pressure at all times to succeed, and sustaining success is what allows you to recruit those high school ranks. So you can't have huge drop-offs from one year to the next and expect to be, always on the radar of the up-and-coming players out of high school. So if you've got, we just had it. That situation with Jermaine Johnson, I think we correctly tabbed as dire. When he left, we thought about the devastating loss of production. Him and Keir Thomas were going to, them exiting the premises was going to be a real problem for Florida State. And they, in many ways, obviously recognized that. And they were able to bring in a difference maker off the edge. And that has lessened the blow. You'd still love to have those guys back, but it still lessens the blow. So if there's an immediate need, you got to go get that guy in the transfer portal, I think. And if it's, about your long-term success and culture, I think you develop that through the high school ranks, and it's such a balancing act, and it changes all the time. If you have a senior-laden team, and we're talking about right now because you haven't been here that long, and you're losing a starter at quarterback, a starter at running back, a starter at wide receiver, a starter at defensive end, a starter at right tackle, a starter at I'm randomly naming positions. I'm not saying that's specific to Florida State. You would probably want to get that in the transfer portal right now. A kid who's proven himself at the collegiate level that can come in and save your bacon.
And the thing about the program where it is, specifically Florida State, is you need to lean on the transfer portal again this offseason. And it might not be the last time, but it certainly has to be, again, a huge part of what this offseason is about when you consider what you're going to lose in the trenches on defense specifically. And then also, honestly, on offense as well, even though we like that younger class that just came in, it's a lot to ask for more than one or two of the 2022 signees to be ready to go next year. And if both of your guards are gone, I know we've got a lot of guards on this team in general. Bless Harris could be one, and Darius,
of them, yeah.
Darius could be one. Hell, maybe even Robert Scott could be one if you could find more bona fide tackles. But still, I think they're going to have to address at least 3 or 4 positions in the transfer portal this offseason because they're not there yet where they're cranking out the high school and developing the high school talent.
Yeah, they keep building that way, though. It is interesting. They are, again, recruiting will become a big topic. It's an always big topic in the recruiting world for people who just, that is their passion. And they monitor it every single day. I always find I think for radio purposes and just conversational purposes, I think honestly, striking that balance, the understanding of the importance of recruiting is a given in any conversation surrounding college football. So your program always be closing, right? You have to be closing on the good players that give you a chance to succeed long term. But we spend so much time, of course, talking about the games on a radio show like this. Let's talk about the games and the people who play in them and those that are contributing them now, those who are the reason that you're winning and losing games with obviously an understanding of the behind the scenes stuff. But I will say the later in the year, when you get to, I guess, when you reach certain levels of success and the goals are being met, now you want to see that translate big time in the world of recruiting. Now you start to turn your attention more towards it. Fresh off a 45-3 ass shellacking of Miami, you expect to see perhaps a buzz, an uptick in chatter from those that are maybe on the fence and some outright flips and things of that ilk. And with each passing win, you're going to expect to see that. First of all, we're moving in on a time where they're going to have to commit. So, what are we, 4 weeks out?
Yeah, a lot of assembly about that, maybe 5, but a lot of assembly lines should be going after that game. And what I'm hoping is, the collective, specifically Rising Spear,
separate, independent, completely of Florida State.
That's correct.
Just kind, giving souls.
There was a lot of inquiries, just a lot of them this weekend after that win into Sunday morning. You know what? Still feeling good. I should really inquire as to how much money I could give Rising Spear to help make sure the 2023 tribe is outstanding.
It's interesting too. I think, I have said on the air that I think they've got in the neighborhood, just a guess from what I understand behind the scenes, in the neighborhood of $3.5 to $4.2 million to spend on roster retention and perhaps,
You didn't say potato chips. Okay.
No, I'm saying they've got, so I think they've got a good amount of money to be able to retain certain players' services and also go out and lure others. You and I have spoke about this a lot, like how much of it goes to player retention, how much of it goes to incoming recruits, how much of it is luring somebody away from their current situation. And again, I think It depends on the level of production. You got to evaluate players just like NFL teams do when they go into a draft. Like, am I spending this much money? Well, it coincides with the round you're taking them in. So for me, if I've got a can't miss, obviously, well, we like to have the reigning Bolitnikoff Award winner come play for us. Well, he's going to cost you $2 million. He's really good. Other people want him too. That's a far cry from a kid you're getting in the transfer portal that is filling a need from a production standpoint, but he's not an All-American. He's not even an All-Conference player. He's just a player that is a plus player that saves you the headache of having to play a kid who's not ready yet.
It's interesting that, these are the budget numbers that would be tossed around. That's a very different budget figure than what the university would be dealing with or the boosters would be dealing with when it comes to,
building things.
The coaching staff.
Oh,
no, I'm thinking about the coaching staff now, because as you succeed, at minimum, you're going to have to pay more to retain the guys you got.
And they've already done that with certain guys.
I think that's going to have to happen again here.
I do too. Well, first of all, at the end of this year, Mike will get an extension.
Right.
That's a given. That's they already know that. And I would think, I don't know this, but Alex Atkins will get yet another raise. The guy he's talked about more now in the last 2 weeks than I can ever remember. And that's because this offensive line is moving people. This offense is prolific. He has the title of OC, and that line is technically very, very good at what they do. I mean, they're not dominant physical freaks that are just mauling people the way you've seen Georgia's line in the past do, and the way you've seen Alabama's lines and some of the others. Michigan's line currently just destroys people. It's something to behold. Not saying they're devoid of technique, just saying they're monsters. The clay is different, as I like to say. So what Alex has done is a combination of teaching and scheme, and then also, obviously, these guys are getting better. The quality of player is getting better for Florida State. But Alex is as well thought of right now as he's ever been, and he's young and he's a rising star, and you'd like to keep him for another year.
This is one thing that I'm just ignorant to because of the job that we have and how a Saturday workflow is specifically for me. The post game show.
A lot of work for you, yes.
Well, and I don't mean it that way. I'm just saying.
No, it is.
Okay, but I'm just talking about. I don't see the chatter after the game. We are the chatter after the game. That's on YouTube, right?
Right. Yeah.
But my question is, and maybe the folks in the chat can answer this, or anybody listening wants to email Warchant. Are they doing a good enough job at the collective and at the booster level of capitalizing on a moment like this to make sure that that you are needed? You, the fan, are needed to help push us over the top. Like, for example, in the moments after the LSU win in week 1 of the football season,
right,
I got an email from the softball program, I'm a coaches club member over there, saying, what an incredible win. It's because of folks like you that, the mission is advanced. And remember, by the way, and here's a link to softball.
Very smart.
That's very smart.
That's well done.
Are they doing that at the collective level, and are they doing that at the booster level? Because by the time that we come up for air, working for the website and the multimedia empire that is Warchant, it's Sunday afternoon. Those hours are critical, because when you're throwing around numbers in the 3s and the 4s or whatever it is, I want to hear 5s and 6s because of capitalizing on 45 to freaking 3. This is the moment.
Yeah, they are to varying degrees of success. They are. And I would want more. I think there has always been an understanding that as we kind of get our sea legs and we begin to figure out what's what. And then I would say this is not solely pertaining to Florida State. We only care about Florida State, but this is true of many other athletic programs, boosters across the country. NIL is a reality. Everybody understands that. You have to have a fully functioning, communicating, I think, clear vision for how it's going to be run and utilized for your team to have success. You have to have that in place, right? But as you fight to have that in place, you are doing away with the old. You are breaking away from traditions that have been around and mindsets and ways of operating that have been around for a very, very long time. It's not easy to crack that. We talk about developing new habits. and financial habits are very difficult to break and to introduce and have take hold. And especially when there's a disagreement about how much money should be given. Let's just use, Florida State booster A. Okay, I'm this guy. I love the Noles.
You got the watch and the belt.
I graduated in 1985. My kids have gone to Florida State. I go to Florida State. I'm still a season ticket holder. But what do I do with my money? I want to do what's right. I care deeply about Florida State, and I damn sure want to see our football team winning some games. I mean, I care. I've been coming to games forever. So where do I give my money? I have whatever I have. I've been a successful dentist. I've got $10,000, $20,000 a year I'm going to give to Florida State University in some capacity.
A dentist, you say?
No. So I'm a dentist, and I say, all right, I got this, and I want to give how much where and how much there. So that's tough because depending on who you ask and who they work for and what they're tasked with, they're going to give you a different answer. And the common denominators, they all love Florida State. They're not coming from a place, they're not being disingenuous. Some of those guys are asked to raise money for the boosters. Some of those other guys are like, the boosters are useless. You should raise money for the NIL collective because we in turn can get you players that will win you games. Gone are the days where we're building facilities.
I'll tell you, being raised on Sunday mornings as a Roman Catholic, when I was a little kid, there was one collection plate. Then I got into my middle school and teenage years, there was a second collection.
Yeah.
And the second collection announcement before every service would be something different. And so today, the second collection is for the St. Vincent de Paul Society, which is an outstanding charity. Today, the second collection is for the Capital Campaign, the roof.
Yeah.
And then today, this was my favorite one. Today, the second collection is for debt reduction.
Pay our bills.
What does that even mean?
Please pay our bills.
But the second collection was kind of like what Florida State is right now as an entity, both as a university, a booster community, and then a non-affiliated collective. There are a lot of places that second collection or that first collection needs to go. Yeah, and how do you pick?
Yeah, well, and so finding that balance and finding, I think, a pretty clear-cut message is what's important here. Like, how are you identifying those that are willing to give, and how is it that you talk to them about what you do and why you do it and how it's going to directly benefit them to give to you? And I am kind of, that's not easy. I mean, it's easier said than done. I obviously know that in the beginning, we did not have our ducks in a row when it came to the NIL. There were others that were already out in front, that were well ahead of us, and that includes teams or organizations, programs, universities in this state. And that was a lot of frustration and mounting frustration, consternation, a lot of like, this is not going to get done, guys. They quickly remedied, for the most part, that one particular collective seemed to emerge from all the rest and get a stranglehold on what was necessary. And there were very active, powerful, well-meaning Florida State alumni and boosters that were part of that, or people that care deeply about the success of the program, not associated with Florida State by any means, by the way.
It's amazing that they all went there, though.
Yeah. And those folks acted quickly, and things changed quickly, and Florida State's place in the NIL world shifted quickly, and all of a sudden the ability to perhaps make a competitive offer, or I guess illustrate what's possible if a kid were to say yes to Florida State and play football, it changed. But it's never going to be something that you can just sit idly by and hope continues to be run properly. You have to be vigilant. It has to be. And I that's what I don't know. I'm not in those meetings. I don't have access to those conversations per se. I do know that in every one of these across the country, there is some disagreement. You're going to have somebody who's old school, who's in their late 70s, and they're going to tell you, well, I think the money should be sprinkled evenly from our athletic programs. And you'll have a whole bunch of other people immediately retort, well, that's preposterous. You're outdated. You're antiquated. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You should have retired years ago. And then there will be others that are like, well, I mean, I can understand developing a scholarship, let's say, for soccer or softball. And so some of our money does have to go there. They've done a good job, but we all understand, so we're on the same page, that the vast majority of this money needs to be procuring players for football, because it's what butters the bread, everybody. And, and then so those that are working, so I'm sure that's an argument.
Well, that's one thing why I like the coaches clubs on the booster side of things, because you can tell the university or the booster organization, I should say, where the money needs to go. You could dedicate a spot to it. I think that makes me, I don't think that's why I do it. I know where it's going. This is the purpose that I want this money to be used for. Mm-hmm. I wonder if collectives might not be better off if on the way in, as you donate or set up a recurring donation to the 501c3 or just an outright contribution to the main profitable fund, if you don't earmark it as you check a box on the way in and say, look, I want this to go to football. Or look, I want this to go to soccer or softball. Let's find some money for these programs that are kicking ass and they don't get the kind of love and exposure.
Yeah.
So
sure.
Would it hurt, to be at a collective?
I think once you reach a certain amount, it's like your war chest. If you get to a certain level, so you have an emergency fund.
Well, some people don't care. They call it like a general fund, and it's just then
whatever it's going to do.
The board can determine where it needs to go, and that's fine. You guys are seeing the specifics of what you need.
Better trust the hell out of the people on that board.
Right.
This you see how complicated this gets.
Or you could just say, what sport would you like this Rising Spear contribution to go to? Check a box. And then you set it up.
In the interim, I think that you ought to build to a certain amount that allows you to be competitive with all of those you seek to compete against, which is the creme de la creme of college football. So right now, while you're building, you have to say, well, what's most important? Well, I think we know what's most important in this changing landscape. Florida State better be competitive in college football. That has to be the case, or you get left out. The game of musical chairs is being played right now. People are leaving conferences and going to sugar daddy conferences, and everybody else is getting left behind. So you better find a way to catch their eye. And the way you catch their eye is to win some damn games.
Yeah.
And so let's start with the building up of that amount. And then when we can breathe a sigh of relief and we've successfully manipulated our way to sugar daddy lane, we'll worry about the other stuff.
Right. You've got a 5-gallon bucket, a paint bucket, a pint glass, and a little cup, and the 5-gallon bucket's Florida State football. And let's get that to a certain level before we attack the paint bucket and the pint glass and the little cup that are the other sports. You can't just pour it all in equally as you go. That bucket's never going to get where it needs to be. You got to fill that sucker up. I agree.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a fun topic, and it's also an interesting one, complicated one, and not going to resolve it today, but these are the kind of fun conversations you can have when you're steady kicking ass on the football.
Because you're not worrying about the minutia of going 5-7.
I know I got a lot to catch up on in the chat. I'll get to it in a moment. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero gravity. All of your worries and stress melt away. Your mind stops racing and you fall into a profound state of pure relaxation. This is available to you right now at Tallulah Delta 8 Plus Floating in Railroad Square for just $50. These state-of-the-art floating pods are unlike anything else you've ever experienced. And while you're there, you can shop for some of the latest and greatest CBD and Delta 8 products on the market. Natural pain management, stress relief, and better sleep are all at your fingertips at Tallulah. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you and thank me later. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hi, everybody. It's Ed Dean, Florida's #1 statewide radio talk show, now in Tallahassee afternoon drive from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on Real Talk 93.3 FM. Yes, highly entertaining, fast-paced, never boring. We always give you the story behind the story when you catch the Ed Dean radio show. And we are ready to go. Tallahassee daily, 5 to 6 p.m. It's the Ed Dean radio show on Real Talk 93.3 FM WVFT.
Over 50 years ago, when Paul Nicholson founded Paul's Termite and Pest Control, he had one goal in mind: provide the best service possible to his neighbors so they felt like family. Your problem was his problem, so today it's our problem. Paul's service area is our home. It's where our kids go to school, where we shop, and where we get involved with community organizations. So if some out-of-town company knocks on your door and begins pressuring you to sign an agreement for termite or pest control, you can bet on a few things. Number one, you'll never see that person again. Number two, your technician is likely to change often. And number three, your money will not stay in North Florida. These companies are sending your money to home offices in Atlanta, Orlando, Salt Lake City, or even Great Britain. Paul's Termite and Pest Control knows local means something to you. The health of your Tallahassee home, family, and pets is our number one priority. For the elimination of termites and pests and a greener lawn too, call your local company with local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control.
Hey, this is Greg Tish. Here's something you might know about me. I don't drink coffee. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. Well, that is until now. So why change now? Well, it's because my dear friend at Grassroots Coffee reached out to me after hearing me say that and insisted that I give his product a try. I've been making a huge mistake. The world of coffee is fascinating. I always thought coffee is coffee, you know? No, it's not. I have tried their coffee and it is fantastic. Now, I've got a fascination with learning more about the best coffee in our area. Grassroots Coffee is locally roasted, locally owned, and locally loved. You can find whole bean Grassroots Coffee on the local aisle at Publix, also in Whole Foods, but the best way to get this black gold is to order it online. They literally grind the fresh roasted beans to your preferred level, bag it, write the date on it by hand so you know the exact day your coffee was roasted. It doesn't get any more fresh than that. Order yours now. Just go to grassrootscoffee.com and choose the coffee you want and how you want it, and join me. Let's step up our coffee game together and also support a great local business.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com.
It has dawned on me the sadness of being late in the game, and now you like, oh man, we're running out of games to watch. So why do I bring that up? Well, for example, there are action games tonight, 3 of them, in fact. I'll watch them. Well, other than having to do a golf show on Sirius XM, which I like to do. I'm not bitching, but there'll be a little window there where I can't watch. But before and after, I'm watching them action. Might even have a bet on Northern Illinois team total over. Who knows?
Oh, okay.
Just saying. Might have a little pizza money out there for that. So it's but it's the kind of fun and games.
RS is in the jackpot now. Okay.
So what we have, by the way, is what? Kent State Bowling Green, Buffalo Central Michigan, and Northern Illinois Western Michigan. All right.
I'll take your word for it.
You don't watch?
Oh, it's not that. It's just I won't have the weekday slate. I just know that it's on. And it'll be teams that I kind of know the name of.
Well, what happens is you fall into it. You're like, oh, maybe I should tune in, you know, and you, I don't know. I start getting desperate to find football the later in the year it gets, where I'm like, okay, am I missing one? Is there one on a Tuesday night? Oh, there is. Oh, okay. I got to watch that. And like with a bit of fervor, not just I'm watching.
Also, has been just me, or is the NFL in general pretty bad this year compared to college football? We
so
talked
last
about
year it was so much. It was great.
Yes.
Last year the NFL was great.
In COVID, it wasn't close. The 2020 season,
yeah,
it was Saturdays were garbage and Sundays were fun.
Yeah.
This year, I think it's been tilted back to college football being a hell of a lot more compelling week in, week out.
Well, we have better balance in college football this year than we've had in a long time. And I think that's always the biggest part of it. You're talking about competitive balance in anything. You want a lot of competitive balance if you're just a fan of games, competitive games, period. And when there's less competitive balance, one of the reasons the NFL is king is because teams that win 4 games at one year can win 10 the next. It's because it's a salary cap league built around, well, it used to be built around 8 and 8. Now they play 17 games. But, that's the way it was. No team should sustain poor play or elite play for long periods of time, save for if you have an all-time great quarterback. But in college football, for the longest, we were getting very, very concerned that it was the same 4 teams, same 4 or 5 teams. And I think this year you have greater interest from more people who could successfully argue that when you go down the list, so Florida State's 23rd in that college football committee rank. I know we don't care about that, Tom, but
for recruiting, anytime,
purposes,
whatever it is each week, there'll be something each week that you can use to your advantage. Okay, here's what we use this week.
Yeah, and a lot of times you just want to look at, you want to see how you're thought of, I guess. You go through it and you're like, all right, well, let's look at these rankings for what they are. We know what they are. They're talking points, soap opera, whatever it might be. But how does it affect us? Right. Well, when I go through those, I oftentimes look at and look at the top of those rankings and think in the past and think, oh man, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. This movie's been made. And that's not the case this year. And that's exciting. We've had an influx of different talking points, and Tennessee was a big part of that till last week when they got beat up by Georgia. But they're still in it. They're still, hanging around. They're still an interesting team. We wouldn't have guessed that before the year. And, Michigan has followed up last year's success with even more success this year. They were an efficient ground and pound team last year, but they're even better at it this year to go along with a more talented quarterback. Ohio State's still elite, of course, but Alabama has fallen off a cliff by Alabama standards. Clemson hasn't played well really all year long, and then finally had their comeuppance, and they have fallen off. And so we look at the other, is TCU really going to go to the college? These are good things for college football. You want that big picture talking point to be the case. So, and there's still a lot to be decided, which I get excited about. I bring everything back home here to what we're doing and how high can we climb. And I don't mean to say that because that's the title of everything they do, climb, but I do wonder, can Florida State finish top 15? I think so. It's a huge step forward and a big deal.
And I want to look forward too, but I'll take one more look in the rearview mirror. What was possible in that 3-game stretch? Where could you have been? Top 10? Could have.
Yeah, I think if you close the deal against NC State, we're probably not. I know there'd be plenty of moments where you would take a step back and go, God, in retrospect, we really probably should have played better against Clemson than we did, given what they are. And you could argue the Wake game now that we see them start to fall apart a little bit, but again, we talk about this all the time. When you play people matters. How were they playing at the time that you played them? What personnel were they missing or did they have and they no longer have? What personnel were you missing that you now have back? In our case, it's Fabian Levitt, obviously, and a healthy Jared Verse changes things immensely.
Well, and that's what's going to change the conversation. Imagine this season exactly as it is, exactly as we're sitting here today with a 12-team playoff. You would be elated and say, just get in, because you still got a shot. Just get in. Don't let us get in the playoff with this defensive line, because we could be a problem for any one of those teams. They don't want to see us. We know what we did in October, which was nary win a game. But look now at this front and look now at how confident they're playing. It would be more of a stretch than the argument you could make for Coach Bowden's teams in the 90s with a 14 playoff, which is nobody wanted to see Florida State in a 14 playoff.
Florida State,
for any one of those years in the 90s.
Correct.
But this group this year with a 12-team playoff and those at-large bids, I would still be on the table. And this would be unbelievably dramatic.
Yeah, by the way, so if you just look at SP Plus, let's say, it's a fun exercise, right? So these are the best teams, SP Plus, Bill Connolly's measure, and the resumes. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Tennessee, TCU, Alabama, Oregon, Ole Miss, USC, UCLA, LSU, Clemson, Tulane, Penn State, Utah. Now, why does that matter? It doesn't necessarily, but what I do is I take Florida State's resume and I look at their team and I look at the way that they're trending and the way that they're currently playing. And I think, all right, simple measure, neutral field, who you got? Florida State or Utah? Florida State or Penn State? Florida State, Tulane. A rematch with Clemson. Feel pretty good about that right about now, wouldn't you? With Fabian Levin in there, it's going to remove an element of Will Shipley's success against you, which was a game changer. You feel pretty good about that matchup. FSU, LSU, already beat him. FSU, USC, FSU, Ole Miss, FSU, Oregon. Great game. Probably a problem game for Florida State. Secondary gets exposed. Bo Nix has been on fire ever since the post-week 1 ass kicking at the hands of Georgia.
We could run it right down their throat.
Probably, but here you go. Shootout
Right.
game.
And
So
now
this
it's a chess
is fun.
match of I know that you know that I know with
Yeah.
Kenny and Mike.
It gets to be a fun exercise. What about Florida State, Alabama? Just lost to LSU. So I don't fancy us getting a ton of stops against Alabama, but I'm not so sure they're getting stops against Florida State either. So here you go. We get into another shootout type game. Florida State TCU is interesting. I've watched a lot of TCU this year because I've won a lot of money on TCU this year. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be as locked in as I am with that team. They're really good, and they have an explosive playmaker. So once again, I wonder how many stops we'd get. We'd see, but I think we would score on them. Tennessee, it's the same discussion. You notice this? And it's weird that my fear is on one side of the ball fresh off of a game in which they gave up 3 points, but I think that most people would agree with me on that.
It's true, but there are signs of life, as in you have a turnover off a zone coverage that was passed off beautifully.
Well, the kid that threw that interception is hot garbage.
That might be true, but there's a lot of hot garbage that was completing, a 15 to 22-yard pass downfield on us the last 3 seasons. Same coordinator, and you're saying, my God, Bailey Hockman owns us. How are we here?
Yeah, let's hope that that's more about, and when you're handing out attribution, let's hope that's more about Azareye'h Thomas's emergence as a soon-to-be superstar in the secondary and less about a kid who can't play football that's thrown into the mix of an ass kick and trying to make a desperate play in a lopsided affair.
I'm just saying now, opponent adjusted, if you take a look at explosive plays allowed on defense, Florida State's top 5 in the country.
Oh, we keep everything in front of us, buddy. That is the whole goal. They don't make enough plays behind the line of scrimmage. They don't wreak a ton of havoc. Florida State doesn't. They are not scoring deep. I got it. But they are smart enough to know that their offense is going to score, and they don't need to give up big plays. Let's make teams earn it. They play enough teams that simply can't. And you hope that when you get down – now, one of the things that's getting better, we hope trending in the right direction, Florida State was this team that was bending all the time, but they would also give up the touchdown in the red zone. So you can't do that. You can't play that way if you're going to bend. Now, hopefully they're getting some stops in the red zone and allowing for field goals. I'm fine with that. Let them kick field goals all day long. I don't think we have elite personnel on defense. So my goal would be you hold everybody to under 24, you should win. Like Florida State's, Florida State's offense is that good. You hold everybody to 24 or less, you're going to win the football game.
And think about that. We were longing for that just, 10 football games ago.
Mm-hmm.
Into late last year, we're saying, man, if they could just get to that upper 20, lower 30 watermark, what would they do? Well, we're living in that reality now. That's something that you should expect. Vegas has the team total for Florida State on Saturday night against Syracuse at 29.5. So once again, Vegas is saying if Florida State gets to the 30-point watermark, you cash. How do you feel about that?
I feel good about that. They're going against the 3-3-5 that they've already seen. There have been some injuries for Syracuse. They got run down their throat by Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame's offensive line run metrics are some of the best in the country, top 20, just judging the offensive line. But Florida State runs the ball right now on everybody as well, so I'm good with that.
Here's what's interesting. You know who ran the ball better on Syracuse than Notre Dame? Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the turnover inside the 5-yard line and because of Shipley's fumble in the early, I think it's third quarter of that game, the numbers are skewed. And you don't really think of it that way. But I looked at adjusted yards where I take the sacks off of the books.
Sure.
And Notre Dame ran for around 4.5 yards a carry, which is impressive because of how many times they ran the football. That's what's emasculating.
They were also allowed to do it because they had a special teams touchdown. You're talking about the game against Clemson?
Yes.
They had a special teams touchdown. If you're talking about the game against Syracuse, they had a pick 6 to start the game. So they
Syracuse,
could always
so
they could always run because they never had to come from behind.
But my point is that Clemson ran the ball more explosively on Syracuse.
Sure.
And you don't look at those two programs and feel the same way about the running game. Shipley's an excellent red zone weapon. DJ's involved in the running game, but you don't feel about Clemson's offense the way you feel about Notre Dame's. Notre Dame is smash mouth. Clemson's a little bit more multiple. And yet Clemson is the one that ran it down Syracuse's throat even better. So that is a trend. That is two teams that Syracuse has played that could do something about on the offensive line. I'd argue we're more explosive than either of those two teams on the ground.
We are.
Correct.
We are. So Notre Dame's not about explosive plays at all. They're about running the ball. Here's what I mean. Just running the ball, period. They're 6-0 in games in which they've run the ball 40 times or more. They're 0-3 in games in which they've run 40 times or less. That is Notre Dame's stat. There it is. Those are the numbers. If they're allowed to run it,
right.
40
The
plus
score
times,
dictates if you can do
correct.
that a little bit. But yeah.
If they're allowed to run it 40 plus times, you're in trouble because they'll stick to it. And that's where I give Freeman credit. He figured out, like, okay, my quarterback's not real good. I don't have explosive weapons on the outside. I got two running backs I like and an offensive line, like all Notre Dame offensive lines, that can really lean on you. So you know what we got to be? We got to be this thing. We got to be this thing, this Stanford thing, this 1957 thing. We've got to be old school.
Now, what's interesting about this weekend for us is I think that's what we need to be, not formationally speaking, because Notre Dame runs it very differently than we do, the scheming of it. But I think this has to be more akin to NFL offenses in 2011 than what we want to do this season. If you're patient against Syracuse, you're going to matriculate the ball down the field. They just play soft. They play soft.
Yeah.
They love to drop 8. They love only the 3 men up front, and they don't even bring a whole lot of exotic run pressures on you. They just want you to prove it, that you can. Then they'll force you to, and they're quick enough to tackle in space.
I think this is going to be a boring game.
I hope it is.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's going to be a boring game that favors Florida State, and at the end, it'll all add up to a win and a cover, and we'll feel good about it. But I think it's going to be a boring game. I did what you did. I started watching more Syracuse, and I was like, okay, so they'll just drop 8 because they don't want to give up the big play.
And they'll play
fine.
so soft on the edges.
Yeah,
you could complete 25 little bubbles and flare type concepts in this game if you wanted to.
Kind of fun. Hey, I didn't answer questions in the chat, so if you want to fire them at me, feel free. I did not get to those that had contributed. Whoa! I feel bad about that, so put it up there. Traditional writes, how do you feel FSU will perform against Syracuse's offensive line in this game? Their sacks allowed I saw was 28 on the year. Yeah, well, one of the reasons their sacks allowed number is low is because they have a mobile quarterback, so that helps. But I think the defensive line will be good in the sense of stopping or slowing down Tucker. That's the whole key to the game.
They don't run block very well.
No.
And thanks for the contribution,
Yes,
Traditional. Appreciate it.
I agreed.
Yeah.
They don't run real well, and that's all I care about. I don't really care if we sack him. I care much more about slowing down the run game, because if you're going to put it on his arm to win the game, then Florida State's going to win. So I feel fine with that.
Yeah, I think the terms of the fight are on the edge here for Florida State's defense. It's getting out in space and making sure that Sean Tucker is accounted for in space. And then also the thing I love about the way the Miami game ended, other than the score, of course, is Ja'Cory Brown running on us successfully. Even though some of that was with our backups, I love that tape being there.
Backups, yeah.
Because if Schrader plays, it's the same kind of concepts. Schrader is a stronger, older player than Brown is. Mm-hmm. But it's not that Brown is a scat type quarterback. He runs more physically.
Yeah.
So that's good that you've been tested in that way. You've got the tape to teach off of, because that's another thing that you're going to have to account for. Schrader is also good at quick throws, but if you stop Schrader the runner and Tucker the runner and Tucker the receiver, their wide receiver weapons don't scare you.
It should always be noted that when a team has a mobile quarterback, you're going to give up some plays. You know, you're not going to completely shut anybody down who has a quarterback that can run, because there are going to be times where you're in man and your back is to him, and he's going to take off and get yards, and that's fine. If that's the primary mode of moving your offense, then you're in trouble. I mean, now every now and then you get a guy who's preternaturally great at it and eventually learns how to throw. Like, I think over time we've watched, well, I think the greatest example is what's going on in Philadelphia right now. It's remarkable. I mean, there's a guy that nobody trusted to win games from the pocket, and now he's gotten to where he can make throws, and he is still a great threat with his legs, but he's now making throws. Took years and years and years and years to get there, but they were patient. They built a great roster around him, and he's able to do it. Yeah, we got more. Oh, yeah, I'll get to those. We got a break right now. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local Local news now.
A fourth suspect is under arrest in connection with the October 29 shooting in front of Halftime Liquors that killed a man and left 8 others injured. Quincy police say Joseph Walker was taken into custody early Tuesday after an officer spotted him leaving a local business. Walker was arrested along with drug charges after Quincy officers say they discovered cocaine in his car when he was arrested. Walker was booked into the Gadsden County Jail. In celebration of Veterans Day, the Leon County government and the American Legion Sauls Bridges Post 13 will be hosting a community breakfast and more on Friday, November 11th, taking place at the American Legion located on 229 Lake Ella Drive. The Operation Thank You Veterans Day event will begin with the community breakfast, serving from 6:30 to 9. A ceremony and program to honor the service of veterans will be held at 8. Following the Veterans Day event will be the Veterans Day Parade, beginning at 10:45 along Monroe Street. All events are free and open to the public. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A tropical storm warning continues. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun this afternoon with highs around 72. Northeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 64. Tonight, cloudy skies. Overcast skies again tomorrow. Scattered thunderstorms likely. High temperatures reach up to 74. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 69.
If you're a business owner of any kind, you need advanced fire protection services. We are AFPS, and we provide high-quality life safety services throughout Northwest Florida, and we've been doing it since 1989, with offices now in Tallahassee. Fire sprinklers, fire alarms, fire extinguishers, hood suppression systems, and emergency exit lights. For all of your life safety equipment, we've got you covered 24/7. We are Advanced Fire Protection Services. For a free life safety system evaluation, visit WeSaveLives.com. That's WeSaveLives.com.
Hey, what's happening, Jeff?
It is always good to see you, Eddie. Had a long day, my man. I was thinking about it. Gordo's was the place to ease the pain, you know? You're frustrated with your job. You're aggravated. Life's beating you down. Maybe your wife's speaking. You got to get out the door.
You know what? Here at Gordo's, man, we welcome everybody. Disgruntled wives, disgruntled husbands, kids running away from home. We'll even give that kid a job. Send them our way.
Go make some money and eat delicious food at Gordo's. It's perfect.
And have a damn good time doing it.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Greg Tish here along with
Matty Rowe.
And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We've got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song, and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We can talk about our feelings.
There's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Are you still going to smoke a pack of heaters on the air if they win 10 games? I could, you know what? It's crazy.
Did you agree to do that?
No, of course not. He's
Oh.
making fun of the fact that we're always being asked to do all these salacious things if Florida State keeps winning. Yeah, keg stands. He could have just put, are you doing lines of cocaine if they win on Saturday? You know.
We're not Miami fans.
No, but the funny thing about heaters, you know how when you're in college, occasionally, if you drink too much, you decide to have somebody's cigarette, and that was kind of the way that I would smoke cigarettes back then. I was never a smoker. I never liked cigarettes. I was a dipper, and it's I couldn't do either now to save my life. There's no chance. Like the thought of it now is repulsive. Although back then you're like, yeah, sure. It's just crazy.
It was never a thing for me.
No, and I know why, but yeah.
Yet I always loved smoky bars. So go figure. Maybe that was a creature.
But you don't anymore, I don't think.
No, I've been to one recently, and it was no. The next morning, it's just there's like this,
you're close. They're done.
and it's this extra 2-minute process of coughing up a bunch of garbage.
Still love the smell of a pipe. Still love the smell of a good cigar. My wife disagrees with me on the cigar, so I'm forced onto the patio when I'm having one. But she did. I'm like, isn't this great? No, it's not. I'm gonna shut the door. Have a good one. So that's how that works for me. I've got scotch and a cigar. She's like, the scotch is good. You can take it outside with the cigar. I'm like, okay. Jeff and Tom, who is our biggest loss this offseason? Well, again, we're having a crystal ball there. Get down, lay down. Appreciate the question. I would tell you that I guess Fabian Lovett, if he leaves, and there's big ifs on these guys that we talk about leaving. I don't know. I think it's going to be difficult. I think a lot of these guys might come back. Fabian seems to me, if he can get into the top 2 rounds, that he'll probably take it on.
Fabian should go. He should go.
I think he should too.
I think that LSU game should scare him into going. If I was in his camp, come on, man. You're going to be 27 years old by the time you leave here. Go get whatever money you can go get.
You guys, you're just wrong for that. I get all kinds of things attributed to me on the regular, but that's good. Jeff and Tom, if we had beaten NC State and Clemson, would FSU be one of, I believe the question was, it got moved around there, the 4 playoff spots? No, I don't think so. Not with the one loss right now. No. We've still got a full hour. That's good.
We'd be a lingering conversation, remember, because of beating LSU.
Yeah. What are they, 7 now, according to that committee? Yeah, I guess you're right. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
The cooler temperatures are finally here. Thank goodness. Summer is now in our rearview mirror. With the cooler temperatures, we're going to need some place to warm up. Hearth and Patio can help you with that, whether it's a fireplace, a fire pit, or even warming up while you're grilling for your family. Hearth and Patio can help you with all of these. Give them a call today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282, or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning, and they keep us warm.
At Epps Decorating Center, we're your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. We're your store for quality with brilliant and durable paints in a variety of sheens and thousands of colors. We're your store for service with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. We're your local experts, and we're here to help with all your painting projects. Benjamin Moore, available at Epps Decorating Center with 2 locations in Tallahassee. Find a store near you and visit EppsDecorating.com. That's EppsDecorating.com.
Hurry in to Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale. Get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin and save up to $700. Plus, get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase. Or shop Tempur-Pedic and get a $300 instant gift. Mattresses and bases are in stock for fast delivery. With our Love Your Mattress guarantee, get the lowest price and 120 nights to sleep on it. Only at Mattress Firm. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
The best part about taking ZQuil Pure Z's Sleep Plus Next Day Energy at night is actually the next morning. I wake up alert with none of the grogginess from taking too much melatonin. Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy is a bilayer tablet with immediate release melatonin and extended release B vitamins to help me fall asleep naturally and wake refreshed. It's my secret weapon for a great night's sleep and a great morning.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Can't beat that.
ZQuil Pure Z's Gummies. Sleep better, wake your best.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT. Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Votes still being counted in some states. Wisconsin's Ron Johnson has beaten Mandela Barnes to give Republicans a 49-48 Senate lead, but 3 senatorial races remain undecided. In the hotly contested Pennsylvania Senate race, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman defeated celebrity heart surgeon Dr. Mehmet Oz to become the state's next U.S. Senator. Bernie Bennett with details.
I'll be the next U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania.
Democrat Fetterman defeated Republican nominee Mehmet Oz, a cardiothoracic surgeon known to millions of Americans as Dr. Oz, thanks to his career as a daytime TV talk show host. The high-stakes contest was the most expensive Senate race in the country as well as in state history, with more than $200 million funneled in to support the candidates. Former President Donald Trump played a crucial role in Oz's victory in the Republican primary over hedge fund manager David McCormick and conservative activist Kathy Barnett. Bernie Bennett reporting.
Also at townhall.com, on the economic front, Meta, Facebook's parent company, has announced massive layoffs.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg shared a message with employees on Wednesday morning, saying he decided to reduce the size of the team by about 13% and let go more than 11,000 employees. The company will also extend a hiring freeze through the first quarter. Zuckerberg wrote that the surge of e-commerce at the beginning of COVID led to outsized revenue growth, but predictions that there'd be a permanent acceleration did not pan out. Not only has online commerce returned to prior trends, he says, but the macroeconomic downturn, increased competition, and ads losses have caused their revenue to be lower than he expected. I'm Jennifer King.
Stocks lower on Wall Street as results continue to come in from the midterm elections. The Dow is now down 502 points. The NASDAQ off 214. More at townhall.com.
Charlie Dombeck here from Key City Capital. As a practicing CPA for nearly 30 years, I have found that 80% of your ability to grow your wealth is dependent upon 2 factors: taxes and investment performance. At Key City Capital, we improve investment performance by diversifying capital into off-market investment opportunities in passive rental real estate and alternatives like asset-backed lending. We recover dollars that clients unnecessarily pay in the form of income taxes, creating a lifetime annuity of savings. We are a sponsor of passive, affordable single and multifamily residential rental investments, which are located in Sunbelt landlord-friendly states. These investments are the top choices in a rising interest rate and inflationary environment. They represent a store of value, protecting your capital from market volatility. Learn how we at Key City Capital can help you ultimately grow your wealth rapidly. Connect with me at keycitycapital.com or give me a call at 817-912-1569.
Now go call Seminole Glass. They'll get on the road and get it done fast.
Your local family-owned glass company, serving the Big Bend for over 15 years. At Seminole Auto Glass, we care about your safety. Insurance will send you wherever it benefits them, not the quality of service. There's a difference in auto glass companies. Trust your local auto glass experts. Seminole Auto Glass.
They handle any kind of broken glass, and you know who they are.
Better call Seminole.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
kids' school has been canceled for tomorrow. Little blustery winds have got them canceled.
Does that mean we need to
shook.
work from the home studios tomorrow?
We may very well have to do that tomorrow. Yes.
Super dad.
Yeah, these things happen. It's all right.
Well, that's why we live in this age of technology, at least.
It's a beautiful thing, right? Beautiful thing. Speaking of technology, if the BCS were still intact, this is what it would look like. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, nice and clean. Then Tennessee, Oregon, LSU, Southern Cal, Alabama, Ole Miss, UCLA, Clemson, Utah. That'd be the old BCS rankings. Saw where Liberty beat Arkansas, Tommy.
I did see that.
Yeah.
How was your slate? Was the card good?
I had a winning week.
Nice.
And that's important because that's back to back. Now we're moving in the right direction.
I did because I weighted my individual plays, and the heaviest play was team total over 30.5 for the Seminoles.
It was
and
nice.
That helped cover some
certainly nice
unfortunate backdoor action.
Hey,
on Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening.
This can be a family show at times.
It's not language-wise when I'm watching Mac Brown on television.
How about that guy? How about that guy finding a way to make a blowout close? Ran the same effing play 4 times in a row, and just gave the ball back on downs with a chance to go up 17. Next thing you know, it's a 3-point game. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course.
Brennan drops back, 3rd and 10.
No.
Oh, he caught it. What a throw.
Yeah,
of course it was. Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I could have told you.
That is something. I saw it too, Tom. Saw it too. But, hey, listen, my Tulane wager works every week. Every week with Tulane. On the cover bus.
Also, Air Force messed up.
Roaring. Oh, well, that
was 2 false starts inside the 10-yard line.
Also, I mean, that is a bad beat. We were on the right side all day long, and those 2-yard line, false start, had a touchdown taken back. I mean, it's all right. It's the process.
59. I don't know
what the process.
I don't know what the name of 59 is.
Number
for Air
59
Force.
should never play again.
I agree. That's right.
I said things about his knees.
He should go to the Army and learn real discipline. That's what he should do. Leave the Air Force.
That was something. I mean, this is supposed to be a unit of discipline.
Go to a real service industry like the Army.
This guy's out here screwing up the works. Florida State's healthy. Florida State's in a good position to go up to Syracuse, New York. Old sleepy-ass Syracuse. Take care of business. Not a great atmosphere. They'll play hard against us. I think it sets up nicely, though. Everything I look at, I did the same thing with Syracuse that I did with Miami. I'm like, this feels good. This feels bad. The only thing is the competitiveness of Syracuse is different.
It is, and the thing I'd say is that patience is the word of the day for this game. When Florida State's on the field, take what they give you. There's no need to take a shot downfield. They cover they know what they are and they know what they aren't. And that's the best thing I can say about the way they're coached up. I saw Get Down or Lay Down had asked a question last hour about what do we think of their defensive coordinator. If that was our scheme, I'd puke, first of all. You only rush 3 and you drop 8 into coverage so often that it's almost your base. No, thank you. I want to play more aggressive than that. But they know that they're operating from a point of deficiency. And the thing that they're going to give you is a flare to Lawrence Toafili, a quick throw to Micah Pittman in the flat, or Ja'Kai Douglas. Take it all day, and then run right at him. Run right at him. I wouldn't do anything with the movements. I would just run right at them. The 255 across the front.
We got early in the show kind of just out there and said, hey, look, at the end of the day, we both like Florida State in this game. That's not a shock. So does Vegas. But we also both thought it would be a kind of boring game that Florida State would win. And I'll stick by that right now. Kind of 31-13 type win.
It's just a weird place. That building is, the setup is, the camera work, all of it. You don't even need the ACC network to screw up those angles. It's just strange. But weird things tend to happen there. So if you're patient and playing within yourself and not taking ill-advised shots downfield, then you're not going to turn the ball over, and you should be able to move the chains here. I think this is one that if you're buttoned up and mature, you'll handle just like last week.
I think in doing so, there will be a mass sigh of relief, because after that, it's just Louisiana Lafayette and Florida, and you're just waiting for the Florida game at that point, because you're not going to lose to Louisiana Lafayette. So, I mean, if you do, then there's a bigger problem at hand here. So, I think this is the last of those hurdles. First of all, it would take you all the way back to the start of the football season where we were debating 8-4, 9-3. We talked about best case scenario, worst case scenario. I think we said worst case scenario, 6-6, best case scenario, 10-2, or something crazy like that. I had 8-4. I believe you had 9-3. It's trending good for you right now, buddy.
It's going to be close. It's coming down to the wire.
It's coming down to the wire, but either way, whatever. That's a good sign. Things are moving in the right direction. But we did say that when they beat LSU, we both agreed about this. When they beat LSU, anything short of 8 wins would be really sad. That would mean that something had to go terribly haywire. And you win Saturday, you're getting 8 wins. You're getting 8 wins, and you're gonna be in a position now that no matter what happens, admittedly, things change over the course of a season. New evidence comes to light. You've got to make adjustments to your predictions or your thoughts about a team. Also, it affects your emotions. I get all of that. So if you were to conclude the season after this nice run with a loss at home to Florida, that would dampen the spirits a bit. But if you zoomed out and said 8-4, no matter what, you'd be happy with 8-4.
Yeah, the thing I'd say about this year, as long as it continues down this path, you win on Saturday, and then you put yourself at that floor of 8. They're more impressive than 8-4 this year.
Yeah.
Because of the injuries they suffered and the wins they accrued without being full strength. We thought that a couple of position groups would have to be unblemished when it comes to the injury report in order for you to be even in a position to court 8 wins. And yet, Fabian Lovett's out for the better part of 2 months. Robert Scott was out for a game and a half, and Bless Harris never played in a game that meant anything. And tackle and defensive tackle were the 2 places we looked and said, you can't lose anybody there. You cannot afford to lose anybody there. They did, and they still, even with Jordan Travis out for a half as well, when that game was in the balance, they won that night, and they're going to be a better 8-4 or 9-3 than I thought possible. And I was optimistic before the season started.
So it's good all the way around with where they're headed. And that's why we start talking about some other things. Oh, and also, by the way, in the midst of going 8-4, 9-3, and I do now think it's going to be 9-3. Although I do think you have a absolute battle on your hands against Florida. We'll see, but
they've got South Carolina and Vandy the next 2 weeks.
They ought to win those 2 games.
Yeah.
It's interesting because for Florida, South Carolina is a little bit like Syracuse for us. Could you lose that game?
Right.
You could.
And then Vandy,
probably unlikely.
We have about the equal amount of preparation for one another in this instance.
In this instance, we do.
And we had a much easier time with Miami than Florida did with Texas A&M. That should also be noted. So maybe we got a head start.
Florida had a pretty easy time with Texas A&M, though, but that was also a Texas A&M team missing half of it.
That's true, but we still had an easier time with Miami than half of Texas A&M's roster against Florida.
That's true. I don't think we're going to have a hard time scoring against Florida. I think slowing down AR is going to be kind of difficult. If he's healthy and willing, he's an athlete and problematic as a runner. We'll worry about Florida on a different day. Let's worry about
like Monday.
Yeah, we'll worry. Right. Get through this one and move on. You and I have not had the opportunity to talk about this, so I'm going to spend just a short amount of time on today's show on this. And it's going to end up being for the wrong reasons. But, Tom, this is not going to be a very good basketball season. And you go back to when they lost key members of this staff, and I talked about between that and the changing landscape of college basketball with NIL and the programs in the ACC that care to invest in basketball and can and will, and those that won't. It's kind of us. And I guess I want to be completely fair to my guy here, but I felt like this was going to go in the wrong direction, but not for the reason we're about to see, which is that I didn't think they were going to be able to continue to bring in the big name, game-changing recruits that allow for you to sustain after losing two really big staff, central figures on the staff over the last few years. And now, you get the Baba suspension, and it's huge because you did get the player that I didn't think you'd be able to get, and then he gets suspended unfairly, unnecessarily, unjustly.
I'm sure it took some doing to get Gainey here as well.
And then
I would think he'd be wanted to be in other programs. How could you not?
Yeah, and then you lose him due to injury, and he's gone for the year. You're not healthy, period. Now, you did get Darren Green Jr. to come in from UCF, and he can shoot it. Not an elite athlete, but a good shooter. But you just don't have what you thought you were going to have size-wise, depth-wise. You've got no real speed in the backcourt right now. Now, Worley will provide more of that. He played well the other night, actually. That's a good sign. But Caleb Mills isn't quick in the backcourt. And, Matthew Cleveland's a strong physical presence he had a better night, obviously, than he did in the exhibition. But you're going to have a hard time in these first 16 games that he's suspended. And you lose right off the bat to Stetson. And lots of Oklahoma just lost their home opener. People lose their home openers all the time in basketball. It's a long season. That's not the reason I'm fretting. What I'm fretting about is watching Florida State roll a 4-guard set out there to start the game. And those guys are standing around doing some of the stuff that you and I watched back in the day when I used to get so frustrated. Pounding the ball in the floor. There's no movement of the basketball whatsoever. And then that leads to a whole lot of standing around on defense, which is also problematic and not indicative of a Leonard Hamilton team. And unlike last year with Evans and Osborne and guys like Polite and others, you don't have any real senior leadership around here either. So now you don't have real leadership. We questioned toughness last year.
Absolutely.
Now we're talking about numbers because they don't have enough healthy guys. You lose the guy that would have been the spark plug and the length defensively. I want people to know that I'm very, very, and the only reason I say this is that your mind might not be on basketball right now. And so, in passing, you saw they lost to Stetson and you said, okay, so what, they lost to Stetson. But you got UCF, who's better than Stetson, up next. You could lose that game. And then you have Troy. But if things don't improve from what we saw the other night, that record could be really ugly through the first 16. Just getting it out there. I want everybody to be mentally prepared.
Brace yourself.
This is a brace yourself kind of moment. And I'm not mashing the red panic button. I'm just noting, brace yourself.
You're mashing it for this season.
Well, yes, but not in the way that you think, or I guess maybe I am. They're going to be bad, Tom. They're going to be bad, and that'll be 2 years in a row.
Are you mashing the red concession button?
I'm mashing a button that says I think they're going to be bad, at least through these first 16 games. And if that's the case and they don't make the tournament, it's back-to-back years of not making the tournament on the heels of radical changes in college basketball where money will have an even greater impact than it already did. You found a way to survive and swim in the deep end of the ACC and be a perennial top 4 program in a conference that you should have no business competing in historically or financially. And for a lot of reasons, you were able to do that. And that's why we laud the man that we do. But at the same time, I think those reasons are now doubled. Like the things that you have to be able to do to sustain that are doubled. I don't think we can. And so I'm just marking the time. Mark the time of this conversation and marry it with the other one that we had. Sorry. Back to football in a moment.
Jeff, I need you to pronounce them.
It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. If you're hearing this right now and you or someone you know is active military, a veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a teacher, turn up the volume and listen to this. My friend Shannon with Legendary Home Loans has a hometown hero loan program designed to make a difference to those who make a difference. When it's time to buy a new home, he will waive all lender fees for all hometown heroes. That's a $1,600 value right out of the gate. Also, if you decide to use their preferred title company for their closing, you'll be saving another $600. That's $2,200 in discounts right off the top. That's like 20 tanks of gas in your car. And today, more than ever, it's important to save as much money as you can, wherever you can. So if you or someone you know is active military, veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a school teacher, and looking to buy a new home, choose Shannon Young, Legendary Home Loans, and ask about their Hometown Heroes program. Call 844-FSU-LOAN or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. That's FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Clean, renewable energy means fresher air, healthier residents, new green jobs, and a stronger, more resilient community. How we get there is up to you. Share your input today to help shape the Tallahassee of tomorrow. Take the Clean Energy Survey at talgov.com.
You were always more than my mom.
You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
I'll second guest dinners with friends because they can be interrupted by diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or oily stools. It turns out I have EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which means I'm missing the enzymes needed to digest food. My doctor prescribed Creon, pancrelipase, an oral prescription medication that replaces pancreatic digestive enzymes. Creon treats EPI due to cystic fibrosis, chronic pancreatitis, pancreatectomy, or other conditions.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you're allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Creon is the #1 prescribed EPI treatment. Ask your doctor about Creon for EPI and visit creoninfo.com or call 800-633-9110 to learn more. That's CREON info.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Down last segment at all. I know that brought me down. We went to break and I was like, damn, Jeff, just depressed yourself. That can't be good.
Just think about Syracuse 3-man front, averaging 255 pounds across the board.
Getting absolutely destroyed and watching Trey Benson run for another $150, bouncing off dudes because he's got a head of steam by the time they have to come up and hit him. What a nightmare. What a nightmare to be a safety right now, having to come up and try to tackle that big son bitch.
I think that particular person, big as he might be, his style fits this weekend a little bit better than the straight ahead guy. And I'm talking about the patience behind the line. Just watching what Syracuse does, the 3-3-5 affords that second level opportunities to make tackles if your guards or your tight ends are not quick enough to get out there and set the block. We aren't. That's one thing we're not quick enough at doing.
We're going to be fine.
So the longer you wait, doesn't have to be Le'Veon Bell, but it doesn't have to be Michael Pittman Sr. either. Something closer to the Le'Veon Bell side of the spectrum, and you're better off at breaking some big-time runs.
Yeah, Michael Pittman Sr., that guy. As soon as he got it, you're like, Jesus, dude, he just tripped over the grass again. You were not going to get lower than him. And that was,
your best bet was just to punch his bicep, which is massive because then he'll fumble the ball.
Break your hand. He had that great year, man. There was a little 2-year window where he was a lot to deal with. Now, I the emergence of Benson every week is so exciting to watch. And he is now, it seems, really comfortable running the ball with power and authority, finishing runs, setting runs up. He's got that speed to go along with it. I think he's just now realizing who he is and what he can be. This is exciting times.
Has he earned the right to be the feature back in your mind?
Yeah, I think so. I love the guy. Listen, the fact that Florida State could end up having two guys, well over 800, 900 yards, that's here we go. You know me. I mean, if we could bludgeon people with if Jordan Travis had to throw 12 completions in a game for us to win every week, I'd be fine with it. It travels. It doesn't matter in inclement weather. You can run on people anywhere. You can run on people on the moon if you can run.
It's a really fascinating issue, and it's a good one. One of the few good ones we've had in a long time when you look at the running back room and how crowded it is for the next couple of seasons.
It's great.
We're in on the Baxter kid, who's a 5-star, grew up a Florida State fan, was committed to us a year
Considered
ago.
to be a real difference maker, yeah.
Right. And look, if he visited here against Tech, I think it was the weekend of Georgia Tech, then he was down at Miami for Miami, watching us run all over the Hurricanes.
I mean, son.
You talk about a 7-day period, a few more hours than that. The impression you make on a player like Cedric Baxter, given the way we ran the ball in back-to-back weeks, you can't do it any better. If he says no, then there was nothing you could have done in terms of putting a product on the field that's attractive to somebody who is a blue-chip, top-of-the-line running back candidate. But whether or not he says yes, you've got potentially all coming back. Benson, Ward, Toafili, Rodney Hill, and the Penn State transfer Holmes, who's a good player in his own right.
Yeah.
Where the hell are all these carries going? It's probably a talking point for the spring to say somebody's probably leaving.
Oh, Tom.
Multiple players.
2 players will be leaving, period. It's a good problem to have. I just hope the right ones stay. I mean, that's all I care about. Hey, if I had a vote in this, I know which 2 I'd say to have a good day, but you're right. It's an interesting dilemma to have, but these are the kinds of dilemmas you want to be having at all times. We've got 9 really good receivers. I'm worried one of them is going to leave. Yes, they are. They're going to leave. That's what's going to happen. In the world where you're allowed a free transfer and not having to sit out a year, you're going to lose kids when you stockpile tons of talent at a position. I hope we get to a point, God forbid we're at a point someday where, I don't know, one of these 5-star offensive tackles are just going to have to go elsewhere to play. This is what a mess we have on our hands here. What do we do? Yes, I would absolutely love that. What do we do with these? What do we do with these 3 5-star linebackers when you only really play 2 at a time? One of them's going to transfer.
As long as Rodney Hill stays here, that's for the long term. Need Rodney Hill not to go anywhere.
I love Rodney Hill, but I mean, if we're having this conversation, let's go with 4 guys. You ready? Let's say you have 4 that want to stay.
Okay.
Who would you rather lose? So let's say Trayshawn Ward and obviously Benson and Toafili
and Holmes
and Rodney Hill and
CJ
is back, right? Yeah. Right. And now the Penn State, did you say,
Holmes is the Penn, yeah.
He's Penn State kid. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen Holmes, so I don't know.
Well, I think the next 3 games will help you decide whether or not Trayshawn might be better suited to go and be a feature back somewhere else. And I legitimately mean that. Benson may have just taken the job, period.
Yeah. It's a shame, too, because I really like Trayshawn. I say it's a shame. It's not a shame. It's good that somebody emerged as maybe a better option, but I like Trayshawn a lot.
I don't know what kind of player Holmes is yet. I want to see him in spring. Mm-hmm. So you want to bring all these guys back in spring to evaluate. But I like the combo of what Toafili brings to the table. He's developing really well. And he's a good pass catching.
Well,
threat.
He's almost a receiver. You can almost line him up as a receiver. They do sometimes.
And he's shown the ability not only to be able to catch in a mismatch against a safety, but then also in traffic over the middle. That's a valuable piece. So I want to keep that. Rodney Hill does things as a true freshman that is going to project very, very well. And he's got a density to him, not on the Dalvin level, but he does. People shouldn't bounce off of him the way they do. So I want to keep that. Then from there, I let fate decide.
Yeah, well, Benson's going to decide everything for you. He's going to start as the number 1 back, and then everybody else is going to have to get in line and fight like hell to be the 2 and the 3, because that's where this is headed. And whoever is 4th or 5th man out, they're going to ride. I mean, and that's just the modern time in which we live. And I get it, and I don't blame him.
It's fair.
It is fair. Trey Benson is going to be the in the Heisman conversation next year. He's just getting started that from Florida, man. We'll see, but if we run like we run right now,
this offense could feature a player like that.
You really could. You really could. Colby asked who's headed up to Cuse. Let's go. I guess you're there, Colby. I will not be there. I have been to Syracuse but one time, and I would like to go back. This time I am not. I do believe it is our own Irish Chappelle. Flying up there perhaps today to avoid the storm. And by the way, good luck to everybody about to deal with this storm. I don't want to overstate it. It is a tropical storm. Some winds.
For our side
a little
of the
bit
state.
of rain, but yeah.
For the East Coast, if you're on,
Yeah.
Hope you're ready.
Yeah, well, you know how much I love St. Augustine. I need St. Augustine to keep it together. Let's not. Daddy's retirement home doesn't need to get ripped down now. We got to.
I thought you were retiring in an RV and then seeing the country.
Well, no, I'm going to have an RV. But,
okay.
My place, my crib, baby.
You're going to be like that one place. Remember on the old drive to Gordo's, the old north side Gordo's, you go down the road and there's that one beautiful home with the beautiful RV.
The massive RV.
That's what you want in St.
Well, I don't
Augustine.
need that home. I need the RV. I need that RV. Yeah. I'm going to take it to every
condo?
ballpark. I'm going to let's not be vetting my future place.
What? We talk about our plans and our dreams all the time.
I got a plan in place, Tom.
So it is a condo. I think I hit that one.
It's got good views where I'm looking at. And then if I want to get in the car and ride, it's a big ass RV. I'm gonna have the wife learn how to drive that thing proper. Now, you know how I never let anybody else.
You're going to own the building, and people are going to sign the lease agreement, and they're going to say, suck at Clemson Properties.
Yeah. What is this?
LLC?
I guess. Hey, so you know how I never let anybody else drive? The RV, the Winnebago, the monster that I want to buy someday, that thing, I don't want to drive it. I want my wife to drive it all the time because I want to be able to nap and watch movies and do whatever.
You'd call it the Cameron Cruiser?
Yeah, and be like, hey, babe, get us out to Phoenix. Good series out there this weekend. Let's go.
If you could have one a company sponsor your Cameron Cruiser, the way that Outback used to for John Madden,
yeah,
what company would it be?
Well, I don't know. Whoever would like to sponsor that is certainly welcome. We can get a head start on the conversation. Tom.
Tallulah?
I'm not going to, tell somebody they don't. Think about all the people who might want to start doing that now. I mean, they could just lean into it. Hey, let's get you started, Cameron, and slap that logo across the side. I will be your whore. Let's go. I've got it. Whatever you need me to do, driving all around.
Maybe Orange Theory could, and then in one sector of the cruiser, there could be a rowing machine with clear windows so people could see you rowing.
Yeah.
As the
they
thing's
drive
moving.
by, my wife's driving it. Orange Theory, baby. If I was back in Tally. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Wouldn't that be great, though? You could go to every ballpark. You pick your series. Like, I would like to do a combo trip of, hey, so I've got this weekend, there's a concert or an art exhibit I want to see or whatever it is, married to some big baseball series. So you get a little bit of everything, right? You get your music, you get your art, you get your sports, maybe a great restaurant. There's a great restaurant in every city. You got to do your homework. Like, oh, this is where we're going. And then the next week, Tom, I'll meet you in wherever the hell.
What would the horn sound like? Yeah, I think you'd have to customize the horn.
I want the horn to be the classic, ridiculous. I want that to be the horn.
Cameron party at 2 as the bus stops. And the doors open.
Like, woo! Good to be here, everybody. All right. Margaritas. Let's go.
There you go, Jeeves.
Yeah.
Set her out back.
Oh, that is good. I love it. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis won re-election to a second term Tuesday in a victory over Democrat Charlie Crist, bolstering his rise as a prominent GOP star with potential White House ambitions. The victory is certain to further speculation of a potential DeSantis presidential run. DeSantis has so far dodged questions on his possible Washington aspirations, skirting the subject repeatedly during his only gubernatorial debate with Crist in late October. Trump, who credits himself for propelling DeSantis to a first term in the governor's office, has grown frustrated with DeSantis' refusal to rule out a 2024 run. Republican U.S. Senator Marco Rubio has won a third term, defeating U.S. Representative Val Demings and holding a key seat as the GOP tries to regain control of a closely divided Senate. And longtime North Florida public servant Al Lawson has fallen short in his campaign to hold on to a seat in Congress, losing to Neil Dunn in the race to represent Florida's 2nd District. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A tropical storm warning continues. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun this afternoon with highs around 72. Northeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 64. Tonight, cloudy skies. Overcast skies again tomorrow. Scattered thunderstorms likely. High temperatures reach up to 74. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 69.
Imagine for a moment that you are completely weightless with zero gravity. All of your worries and stress melt away. Your mind stops racing and you fall into a profound state of pure relaxation. This is available to you right now at Tallulah Delta 8 Plus Floating in Railroad Square for just $50. These state-of-the-art floating pods are unlike anything else you've ever experienced. And while you're there, you can shop for some of the latest and greatest CBD and Delta 8 products on the market. Natural pain management, stress relief, and better sleep are all at your fingertips at Tallulah. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you and thank me later. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Jeff, look at this beautiful day, man.
Yeah, it's getting a little chilly. I like it. You know, I'm a colder weather guy, but I worry about it for you because you can't wear the Speedo in the cold. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to wear a Speedo in the cold.
Jeff, it's always Speedo weather, man. We can always do this. Besides, my pool, it's heated.
Which means you're insufferable in a Speedo year-round?
Cannonball!
Still gross.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
That is a Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Victor Hovland, Tiger Woods field. It's a good field. Always is. I feel good about the NFL this week. Redemption Thursday can't get here soon enough. I'm ready. I may venture back into the waters to add to Redemption Thursday wagers with some NFL games.
Okay, all right.
I've been rolling lately on the NFL. I've even tempted fate by saying it publicly.
Yes, you have, and it's been steadily going okay for you.
Yeah, for the most part. I've had some setbacks here and there. But
small observation on the Hero World Challenge. There are times when the standard shot that a golf broadcast will take when they put the scoreboard up, the leaderboard, it's like the clubhouse at East Lake. I'm like, whatever. I don't care about that clubhouse. When they show the dock in that area in the Bahamas for the Hero World, every time I go, man, I could really stand to go down there right now.
Yeah, that is that's a tournament that we should make plans around.
Oh, people could see us and hear us. There's only 50 people there at any given time or any given hole.
Look at T. Lizzie and Campster stumbling over there by the 12th. We're laughing, pointing.
It's a good shot.
It's that singular clap. Pipe down over there, guys. What? Yeah, no, it'd be fun. The slate, not great in college football this weekend. If you couldn't tell, we've had some good runs, guys. But again, the earlier conversation and talking point holds true. You want to watch as much football, not little football, as possible. So a couple things to keep an eye on. This is a maturity week. Again, Florida State on the road against Syracuse, LSU on the road against Arkansas. Both teams should win their respective games, but they're kind of both similar where you're like,
That number is really small for LSU Arkansas.
It's 3. It's only 3.
Wow.
Yeah, that is only 3. By the way, out of curiosity, I don't know if you looked at it. What do you think Notre Dame Navy is? Navy's not good this year. What do you think? What do you think that number is?
Where is it?
Well, it's the neutral site. It's always in Baltimore, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not always in Baltimore, but it is in Baltimore.
Notre Dame 10.5.
15.5.
Okay. All right. Guess I'm picking Notre Dame.
Nebraska, Michigan. Yikes. What we feared and what we were worried about, which is now we're breaking the chains here. We're getting past that now. No longer worried about falling into that realm of irrelevance. I do a show with Nebraska every week. Did one last night. And the guys that work for Husker Online are really good at what they do, and many of them have been doing it for over 20 years, and they know this program backwards and forwards. And right now, as one would suspect, the conversation typically every week is not about Nebraska football on the field, but off the field and what Trev Alberts is going to do in terms of having to hire the next head coach. And you get a sense that they've reached critical mass. There is a very good chance they lose out. And they got Michigan this week. They're 31-point underdogs. Jesus. 31-point underdogs. All right. If they lose out, they'll go 3-9. Well, they went 3-9 last year. If you were on the cusp of going 3-9 in consecutive years in Lincoln, Nebraska, I mean, that is, you've reached the highest level of DEFCON. Like, do we matter at all? I would tell you that this coaching hire will tell you that, because if it's Matt Rule or somebody like that, if it's a big name, then the answer is still yes. But if you're picking from a bunch of slappies that you've got to lure and hope like hell they're a rising star, then no. I mean, it's going to be fascinating to watch. I mean, there are some big names on that list.
Manny Diaz?
No. You have an eyebrow raise for Alabama Ole Miss this weekend at Ole Miss?
I think it's an interesting game because Ole Miss likes to run the ball.
Ole Miss is 8-1, by the way. They're not a great team, but they don't suck.
If it was your standard Ole Miss that could chuck it all over the lot, then I'd have more of an eye towards it, because Alabama's got a harder time with that this year.
All right. You have an eyebrow raised for Louisville Clemson.
I do, very much so. And somebody I know might have had Clemson team total under 10.5 this year, and it's still alive. And Louisville
need him to lose this game.
Louisville could be the team to make it happen.
I have an eyebrow raised for the Georgia Tech Miami game when they play that one.
What time is that kick?
I didn't look. I didn't look top 20. I'm just kind of
hoping it's a nooner in Atlanta, because then I think Tech all the way.
A good and decent game for us to watch. If you're gonna have to flip back and forth. Got the real good games of the weekend are Wake Forest, North Carolina, Texas, TCU, Washington, Oregon. It's really kind of slim pickings. I would say if you want to think outside the bubble there, tune into a solid UCF team, not a great UCF team, taking on Tulane.
Oh,
yeah.
How do you feel about that game?
Well, I'm a ride and die with Tulane. That's my squad right there. They're giving 1.5 points. All they're going to do is basically win. I'm in. That's at famed Yulman Stadium.
I will tell you that LSU Arkansas will be on the television, especially if it's as close as the Vegas experts would predict, at Metro Deli on Saturday for their 20th anniversary.
The beer, baby.
That's
the beer.
Right.
Let's talk about it.
Free beer while supplies last.
From what time to what time? Let's make sure we give the proper shout out to our friends at Metro Deli, whose food is just delicious. Can I just say that? I love their food.
Starts at 11 a.m., and then they've got live music from 3 to 5 as well. Outstanding band they got playing from 3 to 5. They'll have games on the TVs inside. Again, free beer for those 21 and up while supplies last. That's not a bad deal. Great food that they serve up. It'll just be a kick back and relax kind of day. And for a slate that's not great, I would recommend this is a good day to go to the old Metro Deli anyway. If it was a loaded slate, like a park your ass with 4 or 5 games at once,
far cry from a park your ass Saturday.
Right. This, you go hang out, you go drink some free beer, enjoy some good cold weather downtown. That's what I would do. That's what I'm going to do.
South Florida Noel writes, if it's 4th down, that's a woo commentary, by the way. If it's 4th down during our last drive of the game and you have to throw the ball, who are you throwing it to? He says, I'm thinking Pokey. Also, the Peaky Blinders cap is a good look for you, Jeff. Yeah, I wear this every year when it gets cool. I like these kinds of caps. I think they fit my fat face well. As far as who am I throwing to? Who do you trust the most?
Toa Feely.
Isn't that interesting? Because I knew you were going to say that. He does make contested catches well, but he is not a bona fide wide receiver, although it looks more and more like he could play one.
Well, it's 4th and what? First of all.
Correct. That matters.
4th and 3, Toa Feely. 4th and 5?
4th and 5 or more, Pokey.
Ooh.
I trust him more than Johnny Wilson. I don't trust Johnny Wilson's going to catch it. I mean, he does catch a lot of footballs, and I'm glad he's on this team, but he's had his fair share of drops, and this is the last throw. It's 4th down. I got to have a catch. I need to know my man's going to catch the football. Pokey? Micah?
Man. This is a tough question.
That's a really tough question. The answer's not going to be a tight end.
No.
So your choices basically are, look.
It's also, yeah.
Okay. Your choices are Toa Feely, Pokey, Johnny, Micah. I think we stopped there.
Maybe next year, Kentron, but not yet.
Not yet.
It also depends where you're throwing the football on the field. So if it's between the hashes, I want one guy. If it's outside the numbers, I want another guy.
Between the hashes. Got to make the play.
It's Micah or Pokey.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be Pokey because he's taller. I want a little bit more range.
If it's outside the numbers, why are we throwing it to Micah? Outside the numbers. And we'll do that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
It should be Johnny all the way there. If it's outside the numbers, Lawrence. It's funny. Lawrence is very reliable.
Won't you be very excited, as will I, when we have a certifiable badass at tight end? Won't that be something? That's the next step for this offense, is to have an elite tight end to go along with all of the other ways you move the football. This guy you can just depend on. Look, we're average. I'm not trying to say that we're the pits of the world there. We're just very average at tight end. They don't block. None of them block. We're poor as blockers. Average receivers at tight end. But won't it be great when you get a bona fide plus player at tight end?
Yeah.
I don't know that he's on the roster.
Yeah.
But that would be nice.
Two different conversations. One, I'd say they've done a lot better at that position. You've got some candidates now.
Yeah, sure.
Marquiston's a candidate to play a certain role, and I'm not saying that to be kind. Like, he legit could play a role.
He's a problem against zone. I mean, if you're running zone, he can do a lot of things to you.
Courtney is also going to play another role for you.
He's got to get bigger.
He's just got to get stronger at the line of scrimmage. Darrell Powers is a project, but could be a huge payoff.
I don't know why he's a project. I mean, he was a highly thought of recruit, but he does look like a bit of a project.
Well, you would think there's
body type's good.
There's opportunity this year if he was, it's kind of like we're talking about Sam McCall earlier in the week. There's been opportunity. If you were halfway decent enough at this point, you'd be on the field. Azaria seeing plenty of time.
That's true.
On the field. But that being said, that they're better at tight end, how is it that they're not one of the most attractive offenses in the country for that position?
Well, they might be. Let's see. Well, doesn't appear so, does it?
Recruiting doesn't suggest as much.
Well, now, maybe that's a different conversation now, isn't it? People ask all the time where you might be looking to make some changes. Might note that if you're looking to buy a house right now, you'd say, well, I don't know if it's the best time. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Maybe you're moving cities. Maybe you're moving jobs. You got to have somebody to help you out here. You want to get the best deal possible. You want to know that you're dealing with somebody that you can absolutely trust and who makes the process all that much easier. Well, I'd call my friend Shannon Young at Legendary Home Loans. He'll get you set up with complete pre-approval underwriting. It's no longer an upgrade. That's pretty standard these days. They are going to be sure you have it. And if you want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, it's got to be right there ready to go. And you'll get that done from Legendary Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency. And the sellers will know that you're very serious about your offer. It's a proven winning team right there. Approval underwriting, pre-approval underwriting is their deal. Call Shannon today. Legendary Home Loans, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN. A lot of you are. Every week he's starting to tweet out now another $250, another $500, another $700. It's great.
Earmarked for football, I hope.
Earmarked for football indeed. 844-FSU-LOAN. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com, FSUHomeLoans.com.
Sellers Tile does it better for business owners, contractors, designers, and homeowners. Better design ideas, better quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring, better mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions. And Sellers makes it easier with their amazing showroom and first-class professionals. Maybe it's time to get Sellers working for you on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com for better style, quality, and design. Go with Sellers in Tallahassee. Call 656-8453.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, T-SparkConstruction.com. We conquer all peaks, we fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
There ain't no school, he's keeping you comfortable.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry books to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816186.
For many in the workforce, their goal is to climb the company ladder. Often the climb requires a move to another city, and that's especially true in our industry. I'm Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. If you rise the ranks of our competitors, there's a good chance moving up means moving away. Why? Because they're not local companies. They're from places like Orlando, Atlanta, Salt Lake City, and even Europe. That's certainly not the case with our employees. We're a company that was founded in the Big Bend and remains locally owned. When Paul's Termite and Pest Control employees advance, they remain in the Tallahassee area. Don't trust the safety of your family and pets from disease-carrying pests or the structure of your biggest investment from termites to people who may be here today and gone tomorrow. Trust Paul's Termite and Pest Control, a company that has serviced thousands of our neighbors right here for over 50 years. Being local really does matter in our industry because local problems require local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control are the Big Bend's local experts for the elimination of termites or any other pest, and a greener lawn too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Games, I know we don't do the old way of doing things around here, Tom. We don't participate anymore, given Putin's lunacy. We don't want to play the anthem, but at some point, I'm going to need you to come around on sizing up the guys for some Red Russian.
Yeah, I've got some trends down for the league already. I do.
You're starting to look. Okay, good. I just wanted to see where your head was at on this.
Yeah, now that baseball's really in the rear view.
Well, somebody pointed out last week, and I failed to mention it right before we left, that damn it, man. When I gave probables, I forgot to note that was going to be the last of the probables, and that is it until we come back around to spring training. That's all you got. No more. And I love it, and I miss it, and our friends at Tallulah love it. But we do have still many things to preview. And I would still strongly encourage, go take your ass on over to the float and do it up. Lay in there and relax. It's only $50 to spend like an hour in there. Not like an hour, an hour. You can do 90 minutes too. I didn't do that. I did an hour.
Sounds delightful.
It is awesome. I can't stop looking at that otter. But yeah, it's good. It's Tallulah, CBD, mushrooms, THC, all the goodness. All the goodness. My buddy came to town for the Georgia Tech game. He went to Tallulah, not because I suggested it. He didn't even know that they were a proud sponsor of the Jeff Cameron Show and that our relationship was so good. He went by there because he said, this shop looks interesting. I'd like to go in here. And purchased quite a few things, and he's very, very pleased. Very, very pleased.
I would say one thing to look at tonight on the NHL slate.
You've been studying. I could tell. I saw the look on your face. All right.
Yeah. Vancouver at Montreal. They're both in the second of a back-to-back. And the number there, the total is under 6.5. I take the under there tonight.
7:30 puck drop for the Canucks and the Canadians.
I also like Carolina on the money line, but not as much. So
really?
If
Take out the Panthers down in South Florida.
If I was to play one of the two things, I would play the total on Vancouver.
No
Montreal.
opinion on Penguins Capitals.
No, the Pens are weird. They'll outplay you and then lose in situations, and you get
It's a Jimbo nightmare.
Yes, exactly right. They get Jimbo'd on the regular.
Jimbo gets Jimbo'd on the regular these days. That's really all the remaining storylines that we have right now in college football. Well, who does Auburn hire? Who does Nebraska hire? There are a lot of coaching positions open. There will be some more that come open. But also, of course, the college football playoff, all that good stuff. But the coaching carousel is fascinating. But one of them that could be added to the list is Jimbo. I mean, again, money is no object. So you and I and others talk about this and say they don't want to pay him $85 million. I don't think they really care. If they're mad enough, they will.
Yeah, Pete Thamel, Pete Thamel, said on Saturday's game day that they don't want to spend that kind of money to buy him out, which to me means that
a lot of people don't want to do things that they do.
That's leveraging. They're trying to leverage a buyout. That's what that tells me. They don't want to spend that much. Why is this even a talking point then, Pete? Because I think they want to leverage, if they can, paying less to let him go.
Can you believe how quickly Jeff Scott lost his job?
That something's going on there.
Well, they suck.
The
First of all, they're terrible. He couldn't get anything back on track.
But there's got to be more to it than that.
Well, I bet against USF every week, and one of the reasons is they look like a clown show every Saturday. So he wasn't any good.
So does Clemson get bailed out? Does he return home? Because they're worse in how they prepare for each week.
It depends on who was. You remember when we did the thing where the co-coordinators and we hired the wrong co?
Right. Yeah, Tony Elliott being the other.
Tony may be the right co, and you're bringing back Jeff Scott, who.
Where's Tony at? Virginia?
Head coach.
I know, but how can you?
Yeah, it's early.
That offense was unbelievably explosive. You turned it into 1943.
They'll get it turned around. I want them to keep their jobs so they don't go back there. Let's go. But, we were all underlining certain jobs. Arizona State, Auburn, Georgia Tech, Nebraska, South Florida's in the mix now. Auburn is in the mix now. There'll be more. We'll keep on going. The jobs will be bountiful, and I am fascinated to find out.
If there was another coach that you were afraid to lose
on this staff
outside of Atkins, who would it be?
Coach that I'd be afraid to lose on this staff. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Outside of Coach Atkins.
I'm going to be honest with you. There isn't one.
That's what I thought the answer would be.
I'm being completely honest. There's not another coach on this staff that if they leave, I'm worried.
Yeah, and we're, of course, implying Norvell is not on the list.
No. Right, yeah, I don't want to lose Norvell, and I don't want to lose Atkins. Right now, everybody else, hey, good luck to you.
Congratulations on your promotion.
Maybe you'll, yeah. No, and that's not to say there aren't other good coaches, but if I'm thinking about a combination of acumen, ability to get kids to play to the level that we want, and also recruiting, everybody else is kind of like, well,
that's still the open question.
If they go, they go.
And maybe I'm overvaluing NIL. I could be overvaluing NIL over relationships because NIL only applies to a small sector of every class. But in the age of NIL, how much does recruiting matter?
It matters a lot.
In terms of a coach's skill set.
I still think you have to be able to recruit, right? Yeah. I think everybody's got NIL money now. I think everybody's tossing that around for the better recruits, and I think it comes back to relationships. Once you prove that you can, you're in the game with NIL. Good work out of you. Good work, Director Matthew. Be well, everybody. You have a great day. Tomorrow, Redemption Thursday. We'll be right back with you.